Hi, I'm Kimberly Montgomery, and I'm a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner in Whitefish, Montana. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how I started channeling, which was a complete surprise to me. So, because the energies are shifting here on the planet and the veil is getting really thin, I think a lot of people might be having this experience. So, when it started happening to me, I didn't know where to go. So, I thought maybe I would make this video and share my experience, and it might help you. It might help someone it might help someone else out there. So let's start in, and I'll kind of walk you through the entire process of how it happened to me, and hopefully this will answer some questions for you. My background, I want to go back to childhood because once I started channeling and once I started looking back, I realized that I had a lot more what could be termed as psychic experiences than I would have acknowledged without the channeling starting. So I can remember very distinctly flying as a young child, but I think that's a very common thing for a lot of us, having those memories. And I can remember actually flying along the roof of my house, at the ceiling of my house, back and forth. So that's one experience that I had. Another experience I had later on in my early 20s is I had been meditating. It turned out that I met the man that I was eventually going to marry and have children with. And about a minute and a half after I met him, I had a very audible voice in my head, just like I'm talking to you. I mean, it was audible, that said, "Oh, there he is." And it was just like, "Oh, there's the butter," or, "Oh, here's my purse." It was just as matter of fact as can be. But I'll never forget that. And fast forward a little bit further to when I was working as an illustrator for the gift and paper products industry. Sometimes I would get an order for a number of illustrations, let's say 12 Christmas illustrations, whatever I wanted, as long as they were Christmas themed. So instead of actually sketching them out, I had kind of learned this process that if I got really quiet and laid on the couch and just totally relaxed, then a slideshow would start in my mind of images and illustrations. And I would get all the illustrations I need, fully formed, fully designed, in my head, and I would remember them, all of them, which was, think about it now, and I don't know why I didn't think that was a little weird. I just thought it was the way my brain was wired. So, I'd had some experiences prior to when this whole thing started kicking in that I have to acknowledge now. And maybe you have to, maybe those are similar for you as well. So my journey actually started back in 2008, but I didn't know it. If you remember, 2008 was the housing crash, and a lot of people were going through a lot of tough stuff, including me. And so I did what every, good girl from California does. I started meditating because, that's what you do when things are tough. So I started meditating. I was very, very serious about it. I was meditating for at least an hour a day. I was going to this Buddhist temple not far from my home, and I was meditating there. So I was very serious about it and practicing it every day. Well, a weird thing started happening during those meditations. I started having this sensation that I was literally being pulled and stretched. My body was almost as though I was a Gumby doll and someone was, taking a leg and taking the head and just stretching and pulling. It was the weirdest sensation. So I'd be sitting there meditating on my bed and just having this pulling sensation that my body was just being pulled and expanded. So, along with this, during the meditations, I get this feeling of like a tube was coming down over me, and this golden energy was just being shot through the top of my head. I mean, I'd be shaking. It was a visceral, physical sensation of all this energy. So these are the things that were happening to me during meditation. I had no idea what they were. I had one woo-woo girlfriend, and I talked to her about it, and she said, "Yeah, that doesn't happen to me." So I didn't know what to do with it. I meditated for a little while longer, and then life got in the way, and I dropped the meditation and got back, making money and trying to take care of business like we all do. So that was in 2008. And keep track of these dates because they're significant. So 2008, fast forward to 2012, I cut alcohol out of my life completely. So 2008, 2012. And when I watch other people now or YouTube videos or read blog articles of other people that have had some kind of spiritual transformation in their life, those are very important years. So if you look back at your life and find out that there was something significant that happened to you kind of in a spiritual way, you're not alone. I think those were big years, 2008 and 2012. So fast forward to about 10 months ago, I'm living in Ecuador. You know, I traveled full time for over a year. So I was living in Ecuador. I was having a hard time personally again. And I decided, pull out the Eckhart Tolle, and which I did. And then he said, you got to meditate, or meditation's a really good way to get to clarity and get to peace. So I started meditating again. Now this is 10 years later, 10 years after the 2008 pulling and stretching and, tubes of light and energy and that sort of thing. So we're in 2018 now, and I start meditating, and by golly, if the same thing doesn't start happening. I'm being pulled, I'm being stretched, energy's coming in and just shaking me. I mean, it was a really significant experience. Had no idea what was going on. So then I moved from Ecuador to San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, and I'm there for a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden I'm getting vertigo like you can't believe. Like I'm walking along the streets in San Miguel and I've got to stop and, brace myself against the wall. The vertigo is really big. And of course, I've learned since then that that's a real symptom of ascension. But I didn't know what was going on. So I'm in San Miguel Allende, I'm having vertigo, I'm still meditating, I'm still getting the stretching thing, don't know what's going on. Wake up one morning and it is though I have to move back to the mountains. I mean, I'm so drawn to it. There's such a powerful energy inside of me that I've got to move back to the mountains. So I get on the internet, I Google small mountain towns in America, I find Whitefish, Montana, and I'm there within 2 weeks. I continue my meditation, same thing, pulling, stretching, my head's whipping around in a circle now. I mean, I couldn't meditate in front of other people. They would think I was having some kind of seizure or something. So after my meditations, my habit was to write affirmations. So I would do my meditations, pulling, stretching, energy, shaking, the whole thing, and then I would pull out my little notebooks and write out my affirmations. I do 2 or 3 pages of affirmations. So one day I go to write my affirmations, and all of a sudden these huge words just appear in my head that I can't ignore. They're huge. Patience, listen, attention, all these singular words, and I'm writing them down. And I don't know why. So that happened. Next day, it happens again. I'm getting these huge words, and it's almost like a combination of hearing it in your head and a thought bubble. So what it would be like is if you were to right now say pink elephant in your head. Go ahead and say it. Say pink elephant in your head. That's what it's like. It's like someone's literally talking in my head. And it's in a different place in my head than where my inner thoughts generally happen. It's in the upper right-hand side. So I keep writing these words out, and I have no idea why. And this goes on for several days. And then all of a sudden, I start hearing words that I'm not really understanding. And one of them is bitterroot. Now, I don't know what bitterroot is. I thought it was something you cooked with, but maybe I'm thinking of arrowroot. I don't know. And I hear the word bitterroot, and I kind of say to them, it's like, bitterroot, what's that? But I write it down. And here's the thing. The next word wouldn't come in until I'd written down the previous word. So as soon as I'd write down the word, the next word would come in. So I hear this word bitterroot, I write it down, I don't know why. And when I'm done with my meditation, I Google bitterroot and I find out that it's the state flower of Montana, where I'm living, which just gave me complete chills, and I'm getting complete chills now saying it. And what I realized is that who was talking to me was letting me know that they knew where I lived. They knew my circumstances. So I wasn't making this up. This wasn't coming from me. This was coming from somewhere else. And that was like the most, I'm getting chills just talking about it. It was just like the most eye-opening experience. Like, oh my gosh, I'm actually hearing something else besides what's going on here in this, five sensory world. So as things progressed and I started meditating, I was meditating at least an hour or two a day, and the words turned into sentences, and the sentences turned into paragraphs, and the paragraphs turned into pages. And I would have pages and pages of writing about what's going on here on Earth, what the human condition is, how things are going to change for the human condition. I mean, it was really a very insightful, loving, instructive communication. And it started happening every day. And now it's to the point for me that I channel not only that group of energy, which is an entity, they called themselves John. It was an entity of higher ascended masters and energies that are still available for me, but I also channel other energies as well. The Light Council, I am in connection with other groups as well. So mostly I write. I'm very good at hearing what they say in my head and writing it down. I am getting direction to start recording the channelings, which I'm working on. It's just not as smooth. It's not as practiced a thing for me yet, but hopefully it will be soon. So what I want to say to you is, I was not looking for this. It just came out of the blue between the weird meditations and then all of a sudden hearing the voices in my head. And I hear them all day now. And another thing that it has done is it's really developed my sensitivity to energies. And I can really now distinguish different energies that come in. And I can call them in and I can feel them really merge with my energy. That the angels and archangels feel a certain way. And it's like I don't even need to name them. I know who they are by the vibration, by the sense that I get when they come in. The same thing with John, the entity that I first started channeling, and with the family members that I have that have crossed over. I can feel them very distinctly. Their energies are very different. So if this is happening to you, you're not crazy. The veil is getting really thin right now, and the energies are shifting on the planet. And I believe that a lot of people are being called on to channel and to bring in information that is helpful for mankind. And so I'm happy to do it. It's one of the most fun things that I do. So if you have any questions, put them down below, and I'll try to see them and comment. If this is happening to you and you want to email me and ask me anything, please feel free to. My email address is down below this video. So I hope this is helpful for you. Things are shifting and changing for all of us, and I think that we're going to have a lot of these experiences. So the more comfortable we can become with them, I think the smoother the transition is going to be for all of us. So again, I'm Kimberly Montgomery. I'm a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner in Whitefish, Montana. Be sure to like this video if you did. Click the like button down there and subscribe. I'm going to be hopefully putting up some channeling videos in the future that I think have some helpful information for you. All right, take care. Make it a great day. Bye now.